As we return to Canadian Tire Center in Canada, just outside Ottawa, let's have a look at our starting goaltenders, Chief.
Well, Ben Bishop, as we pointed out, his first game back, but he's had a tremendous season so far, and he has yet to be defeated by this Ottawa club, his former team. Craig Anderson starting to get back that style or that record and that way he was playing last year when he led the league with a save percentage and goals against average.
Well, tonight's Tampa Bay Lightning telecast at Sun Sports is presented by your Tampa Bay area BMW centers. And we're underway, and we know the place to be back in the Bay Area is the Sea Dog Brewing Company on US 19 North in Clearwater. That's where the Lightning watch party is tonight. And everybody there getting set to go and buckle those seat belts and watch Lightning hockey here in Ottawa as the Lightning come up with a puck. Puck is played away. Valtteri Filppula reaching for it there. He's joined by Alex Killorn as Teddy Purcell opens in right wing in this line as usual. Victor Hedman on defense with former Senator Sammy Salo. Hedman, with both teams changing, will carry to center and he'll lift it into the zone. Back for it, Eric Greiba. Senators wearing their heritage jerseys. And tonight, as Ryan Malone and the wraparound stopped there by Anderson, and finally we get a whistle as B.J. Crombeen involved as well as Malone trying to make something happen around the Ottawa net.
Yeah, sometimes you can catch that goaltender trying to move a little bit too quickly, especially at the start of the game. But if you take a look at her injuries and scratches, Pyatt, Ollie, two coaches' decisions. Phillips is injured. Corvo, Cashin, and Stone. Stone is on the injured list. He's just about to come off.
Kyle Turris, about whom we spoke in the open, facing off here against Tyler Johnson, who had his 5-game point streak ended in Toronto the other night. Marty St. Louis had his 10-game point streak stopped by the Leafs on Tuesday night in that 3-2 loss. The Lightning get controlled. Here's Radko Gudas firing, and it's steered away by Craig Anderson. Anderson was in goal with a 4-3 shootout win for the Lightning over the Senators last week at the Tampa Bay Times Forum. Pass ahead for Andre Palat. Stepping up was Erik Karlsson, number 65. Matt Carl heads behind the net. Working with Gudas, he didn't see the puck coming his way, and Turris saw it first, but Gudas able to work it free. Backhands it into the Ottawa zone. And Jared Cowan has to play that puck. Karlsson up the boards. Bobby Ryan sends it ahead to Turris. Good play by Carl to stop him in his tracks. Marty St. Louis enters the zone. Leaving it, Mark Barberio shooting, and it's gloved by Anderson. He'll hang on with Tyler Johnson right there in the doorstep.
Let's take a look at our keys to the game tonight, brought to you by your Southern Ford dealership. Of course, the penalty kill. Ottawa scored 4 goals against the Lightning so far this season. 3 have come on the power play and forechecks. They had a good forecheck going for a while, then they kind of backed off against them the last game, and Ottawa started to really come alive in that second period. So the strong forecheck, they can play in their zone.
Now, both coaches noted that strong forecheck to start the game. In the contest last week, the Lightning had something like a 10-1 shot advantage. Here's Zibanejad around the net, fires in front as Bishop went sliding into the boards. He's hurt, and they score. Ben Bishop went sliding into the boards and trying to get to that puck ahead of Zibanejad, who beat him to it. And he up. Mark Bethot ends up putting the puck in the net, and head athletic trainer Tom Mulligan out to look at Ben Bishop here at the 1:49 mark.
Watch as he comes on, and I think as he's going there, Kucherov comes across, and the back of his left skate clips him on the back of the head. And the thought fires it home for his 5th of the year at 1:49, but Ben's still being looked at by Tommy Mulligan.
Well, Bishop really looking forward to coming back to Ottawa as he talked this morning. Enjoyed his time here. Saw action seasons with the Senators. And in diving out and trying to play that puck, colliding the teammate, and see he's talking with Tommy, and hopefully everything's okay. Anders Lindback was loosening up in the hallway behind the bench, and there is Anders. Now that's a dicey situation for officials, Chief, because the rule states that unless a player is seriously hurt, they allow play to continue until that injured player's team gets control of the puck. In the case of an obviously seriously hurt player, they will stop the game, but they chose not to there. Things were happening very quickly, and Mark Methot fired home the puck. And Bishop getting to his skates.
And Massenhoff was over explaining things to the coaching staff.
And no one's really vociferous in any complaint about it. They're just curious as to what the officials saw in that situation. And Bishop being helped off to the bench area. And Anders Lindback is ready to come in here at 1:49, inheriting a 1-0 deficit.
Yeah, that was their first shot on goal, resulted in that goal. So Anders Lindback, who obviously wasn't expected to play tonight, will get the call. See the numbers that he's had to say.
This was the 8th consecutive start for Ben Bishop since he was on the sidelines with that wrist injury. Not that that was a big concern for head coach John Cooper in terms of a workload, considering that he had some time off before and the Olympic break is around the corner. But Lindback stepping in here. Zibanejad and Spezza get the assists on Methot's 5th goal. And the Lightning with the first 3 shots of the game, and as Chief points out, Ottawa scoring on its first shot. As the puck sent down the ice, we get a whistle for icing.
Well, let's take a look at that again. As when he was coming out, you can see it, and right there, just as Kucherov is getting back there, his left skate clipped Ben on the back of the head. You see it right there. It's the side of his head that he clipped him with it. And then I don't think the Lightning realized that Ben was down and out. I think because when they scored, everybody was kind of looking around surprised that Bishop wasn't in the net.
Yeah, as the puck swung to the other side, their attention drawn away from the fallen goaltender. Ryan Malone plays the puck behind the net. Corey Conacher chased back there, and he's part of a Lightning sandwich, and he is down and shaken up as J.P. Coates and B.J. Crombeen combine to squash him along the boards. Puck comes back to Lindback. He'll play it to Hedman. Hedman's pass picked off. Spezza walking in, swings wide, draws a penalty. Delayed call upcoming here for a hook. Kevin Pollock on the call. And the Lightning find themselves in a hole, down 1-0, and now down a man.
77 Tampa Bay.
2:34 will be the time of that penalty. And as they were coming across, it was an intercepted pass. Watch how he comes across it. Where was the hook? Didn't touch his hands. Didn't touch his stick. All it did was on his shin pad where that hook was, but nonetheless, he gets a penalty for it.
Ottawa top 10 power play, just over 20%. Toyota opportunity for them here. As Bobby Ryan back with the puck, giving it to Turris. Lightning have killed 6 penalties over the past couple of games in the win over Colorado on Saturday and the loss against the Leafs on Tuesday. Spezza curling it back to Carlson. He's got Ryan waiting for the one-timer on the far side. Spezza will drive one here, and Lindback makes the stop. And, Chief, that's got to make him feel a little bit better coming in a tough situation.
You always want to get that first save. That's such a key. You know, Lindback was able to get out and handle the puck when he passed that puck away. Now watch him as he's trying to find that shot. And I'm giggling because he's 6'6". He can look over those screens in front of him. And most goalies have to look around them or under them. But Anders, as well as Bishop, can look over top of them.
Face-off controlled by Spezza. Spezza, whose scoring has been an issue. Defensive play has been an issue. Here's Turris shooting. A save by Lindback. But Spezza starting to show signs of life for the Ottawa attack. Carlson chased back here by Thompson. Boy, Chief, the Lightning were very assertive on the kill in Toronto.
Well, they outshot the Leafs on their power play 5-3 in the ones that they had. And interesting thing about, the Leafs had the #1 power play at home.
Brewer gets his stick again. Lindback making a stop on Bobby Ryan. As Brewer lost his stick, still was able with a little fancy maneuver hand pass that puck to a teammate. They couldn't get it out. Now Carlson and the Senators have 45 seconds with which to work on this power play chance.
Interesting thing about this power play for the Senators.
Weirkosh out in front, and it's by Zibanejad's stick. Here's a shot that snuck through. A save by Lindback. And Carl gets a hold of it. Gudas finds the handle on it. Well, Paul McLean said his team needed a good start. They've certainly got it. And certainly untimely injury involving Ben Bishop. Certainly hope he's all right. But both coaches agreed that good start for the Lightning was a big difference in that game. And John Cooper said, hey, we need a better finish. In the corner, puck worked free, and Milan McCulloch playing it back to Weirkosh. Out of the box comes Hedman. Lightning have killed the penalty. Down 1-0. They'll let the puck go to Zibanejad. He overskates it, and Hedman has it. He's looking to wheel with it and chips it out to center.
Well, Ottawa, they were being outshot 3-1 until that this penalty. It's now 4 shots on that penalty by Ottawa. But their power play is the worst one in the league at home. One of the best on the road, one of the worst in the road at home. That's odd.
Big reason why they're a 500 team on home ice coming into this game at 11-11-5. Mark Barberio working defensively for the Lightning. Chips it free to the boards as he's belted in there, and the Lightning come up with it. It's flipped to center. Bouncing puck. Jared Cowan couldn't find it. Colin Greening does. He'll shoot. He missed the net by a healthy margin. It comes out to Tyler Johnson. And the Senators get it back at center. Barberio on for the moment with Carl as the Lightning have the 11 forwards, 7 defenseman alignment once again. Barberio picks up the puck. He'll shovel it in. Off the stick of Anderson. Has to let it go to the corner. Alex Killorn in there banging along with Teddy Purcell against the big defenseman Eric Gryba. Mark Methot. He was a healthy scratch for the game in Tampa last week. They've been on him to simplify his game a little bit. He's back in. Here's Turris feeding it across. Deflected on the sprawling play by Eric Brewer. Killorn takes it. Throwing it back to Barberio.
He's done that a couple times, Brewer. Done it really has timed that sprawl to deflect that pass or even stop it.
On pass off the mark, and Anderson out to control the puck. It got by him. J.T. Brown to St. Louis. Out in front. Puck is played back to the point. They chase it to center. Zibanejad with it. Coming back to Nikita Kucherov. He couldn't find the handle. McCulloch hands it to Carlson. Racing into that zone. Zibanejad feeding it back. It's on goal. And a save by Lindback. Carlson's stick was tied up, driving the net. He couldn't reach the pass. Brown dumps it in. Knocked down at the defense by Cowan. Spets on the attack. Hedman stood him up at the line. JP Cote back for it. Brombeat's pass is taken over. Corey Conacher trying to get started here. Corey's scheduled to play his 100th NHL game when the Senators visit the Maple Leafs on Saturday. Cote checked in there by Eric Condra. Well, this is a much stronger forecheck by the Senators. Circumstances favoring them early in this hockey game. Cote reaching back for the puck, playing it to Hedman. And now Condra has it. Weirkosh with a shot, and that's deflected wide. It's off the glass, rockets back to center. Condra playing it in, it's picked up. Weirkosh walking in and shooting. That was blocked by Brewer. He's blocked a shot. He's blocked a pass. Pass ahead for Tyler Johnson. Racing in there against Cody Ceci. Their first rounder from 2012. And a penalty upcoming for Ceci with a hold indicated by Don Van Massenhoven. Mark Methot found an empty net on the injury to Bishop. 1-0.
12:03 left to play in the first period. You see the Senators up by 1, but Tyler Johnson and Andre Palat is part of our Coors Light Cold Hard Facts and how they rank as far as the rookie statistics are concerned. You can see Johnson second and Palat seventh in goals. Assists, they're both tied for second. Points second and fifth, and of course the rating as you see there, fourth, but they're also getting a lot of ice time. They lug a ton of ice time. They play in all situations, and both of them should be well considered for that Calder Trophy.
Cody Ceci off for the hold at 7:57. First Lightning power play. And you know Tyler Johnson's going to see action on that, which is at 17.5%, 19th best in the league. Senators on the kill, 25th. Little under 80%. Lightning get it from the draw as Hedman has it. Feeding it to Teddy Purcell. Down low, Tyler Johnson across. It's off Greiba's stick as they were looking for Marty St. Louis backdoor. Lindback playing it to the corner. Now, Chief, to your point on the ice time, Tyler played almost 25.5 minutes in the game against the Leafs the other night. And he and Palat 1-2 in terms of ice time among rookie forwards in the NHL. And they, of course, had to do that with the injury to Stamkos. Colin Greening getting to the puck. Around the net, angling it back. Greiba with a shot that's knocked down and Hedman controls. Brought up to by McCulloch. Greiba sees he's got Filppula bearing down on him. McCulloch getting it to Greening. Has time to get organized and bounce it back down the ice. Inside a minute to go on the penalty to Ceci.
Ottawa's special teams aren't really earth-shattering, and their overall penalty kills under 80%, but they're over 80 at home.
Condra with a shot. Knocked down by Lindback. Had to reach across, and he held onto it long enough to get a whistle. The Lightning return home next Thursday, February 6th. They'll host the Leafs at 7:30 p.m. Then the Red Wings come in Saturday the 8th at 7 p.m. Select seats are still available at Ticketmaster.com or by calling 800-745-3000. Two more Atlantic Division games. Highly anticipated. Sala with a puck, leaving it for Carl. Alex Killorn plays it off the boards, gets to it first with a little burst of speed. Muscled by Cowan, who goes 228. Puck comes back to the point. Salo across to Carl. Carl watched closely there by Conrad. It's tipped to center ice.
What they're doing, and we've seen it in a number of teams, is they've really harassed the puck carrier. And the Lightning, when they have that guy at the blue line, they're not backing off, not giving them time and space at all, and they have to hurry to make that play, and they're intercepting a lot of passes.
Well, that took care of the rest of Cody Ceci's penalty as Killorn circles back, now joined by Barberio. You're hoping at least the Lightning could get their legs going with that power play opportunity, as obviously the bench sinking a little bit with the injury to Ben Bishop in the early going and surrendering the goal in the first 2 minutes of the hockey game. Trying to get their bearings here in Ottawa. And the puck comes back toward the Ottawa net. Malone reaching for it. It's played to the line, held in. Thompson, a good play. Brewer sends it across. Barberio pushing it wide. Athot gets it back up the boards. It's tipped in front, and Greening gets it. Skated to center now by Spezza. Shot 7 for Ottawa.
Yeah, they were 1-1 on that power play. So they've had 5 of their 7 shots on special teams, Ottawa.
Radko Gudas working with Brewer. Pass tip, but right back to Brewer. He'll skate it out of the zone. Carlson turns. Gets to it with Andre Palat trailing him. Clark MacArthur has been such a solid addition this year, as has Ryan, who shoots here a heavy shot that just missed the net. Bobby Ryan, checked by Carl. Turris takes it. Carlson. Return feed broken up by Palat. Ryan has it. Now to Carlson shooting, and he missed the net. Trying to shoot off balance, and Marty St. Louis starts back for the Lightning. Marty leaving it for Palat. Back in front, and it's sent wide. Recovered by Johnson. Palat has it. Looks for Johnson. Turris chopped it away. Saved by Carl. Long pass to St. Louis. The shot on goal there by Gudas. And Anderson makes a stop. Lightning had been outshot 7-1 before that one. And St. Louis checked by Cowan in the corner. Chris Neal takes it. Neal cuts to center. She talked about how they've only got one even strength goal in the 2 games. He had it. That late tying goal that sent the game eventually to a shootout, the Lightning winning. Here's Killorn with speed down the wing. Trying to get it in front. It was stopped by Anderson. And Ceci trying to step out of traffic. Harassed in there by Filppula and Purcell. Weirkosh with a pass off the stick of Neal to center.
They're starting to get their legs now, Rick. You can see that they're getting in on the forecheck a little quicker than they had in the early part of the period.
Purcell takes the pass. Lightning with a partial change going on behind him, and he'll now head to the bench after dumping it in. Ceci, who, strange for a 20-year-old, his first experience in the NHL, he's helped to settle this defensive crew down.
Yeah, he really has. And, you know,
here's a pass to DaCosta. He missed the net.
They've had 8 healthy defensemen most of the year, and long-time Senator Phillips. Wow.
Yeah, Phillips out with a lower body injury. Thompson stirring it up in that goal mouth. And the officials calm everybody down with Ottawa leading on the goal by Mathot. Anders Lindback holding the fort.
1-0 the lead for the Senators. You see the time remaining, but on Tuesday, an old friend, and really a tremendous individual, Vinny Prospal, hanging up his skates. He signed a minor league contract with Vancouver, went and played a little bit for them, not real long, I don't think, and decided that he didn't want to put his body through it again. As you see there, 16 NHL seasons, and he's retired and still has a home in Tampa.
Yep.
Now he can really get his golf game down good, Rick. He loved to play golf.
He certainly does. And, of course, plenty of time with the Senators early in his career. In fact, we passed a picture of him on the wall here in the press box. War number 13 for the Sens. So good luck, Vinny, and I look forward to seeing him around the Tampa Bay Times Forum. Puck played in deep in the Ottawa zone. Carlson back for it.
Just heard that Ben Bishop will not return upper body.
Lindback helping out the linesman and the players on the ice about the upcoming icing call. Just a reminder to stay tuned later in the telecast for your Chevrolet moments in Lightning history.
And congratulations to Madame Defour's grade 4 class winners of the Sens YouTube contest.
Well, one of the things, you know, when you get over that initial shock of Bishop going down on that goal when he wasn't in the net there, I think it's been a pretty even play Lightning and getting their legs back. They're getting a little bit quicker on the puck like we saw them against Toronto. Got to make sure of those plays right at the blue line.
If nothing else, the power play backed off the Sens a little bit as they were putting shift after shift together. Some pretty good pressure. Gudas works to come up with that puck. Purcell got it free, sends it across to Killorn. Pass, though, out of the reach of Filppula, and Neal will play it back behind the net. Gudas trying to try the other side. Zach Smith's pass taken over, and the Lightning busted out. Purcell sees he's got Filppula with him as well as Killorn. Purcell with a shot, a stick save by Anderson. It's played off the boards by Zach Smith. Smooth skating Barberio back there for it. Picked up, though, by Greiba. He'll play it in behind the Lightning net. Lightning haven't been able to connect with a lot of passes into the defensive zone here, Chief.
No, they haven't. Ottawa has a lot to do with it, though. They're getting on that puck carry very, very quickly, especially behind the Lightning blue line. They're trying to get them before they get started.
PJ Crombeen gets to the puck. Back out to Cote. Cote with a shot that's wide as Thompson was operating on in front of Anderson. Salo down the boards. Kept in that corner by Thompson. Malone couldn't make a play. MacArthur takes over. Out to Ryan. He'll look for Turris. Turris's pass slowed up by Cote. MacArthur hands it now to Ceci. The youngster who's from the Ottawa area fires in front. Turris's shot blunted there by Cote. Thompson, down he goes, but the puck left the zone, brought back in offside. 4:16 to go in this first period. Lightning trying to get their legs. They're hanging in there. Down 1-0 from the early goal.
16 remains in the first period. We're still a 1-0 lead, Ottawa. And Steve Yzerman picked up another accolade as he was announced yesterday. He was named to the 2014 class of Distinguished Honorees of the Order of Hockey in Canada, and that's given to people who have best tried to promote and build the game of hockey in Canada.
Congratulations to Steve, because he's on a very select list there.
Yeah, Claire Drake's 86 years old now, but he was a longtime head coach of the University of Alberta Golden Bears, and they were the dominant hockey power in Canadian university hockey for years.
And France St. Louis, not to be confused with Marty St. Louis' mother of the same name. She was the captain of the Canadian women's Olympic team years ago. There's a pass to Kucherov. Playing it back to Carl. Now Gudas with it, shooting, and it's knocked down by Anderson. Senators busting out. McCulloch with a lead pass for Zibanejad. Curls it in front, and right there in perfect position, Matt Carl. Lightning in transition. Nikita Kucherov into that zone. Still with it. Going to hand it off, and does. That try bounced off J.T. Brown as Filppula let it go. Brown in front to Kucherov, and his stick tied up by Cowan. Anderson's allowed to cover that puck.
I'll tell you what, he's a pretty nifty little guy, Kucherov. He hangs on to that puck. He doesn't give it away. Here's the one looking. He almost grabbed it out of the air, too. He's able to handle his body, but boy, he was pulled down by the stick right across the hog tie. Watch it right here. Pulls him right back. By Jared Cowan.
Well, in the earlier meetings, Paul McLean, Chief, felt that the Lightning's speed was really something they had trouble controlling so far in this first period. As cutting in now, here's Palat looking for St. Louis. Puck grab by Salo. It looks like the Ottawa size is having its impact.
Yeah, they're much more assertive on the puck and the puck carrier, and they're taking the man all the time. But I don't know how Cowan got away with that one.
Carlson starts it out. Trying to slip it through to Turris. That was denied. Salo knows he has iced the puck. And the whistle blows with 2:37 to go in this first period.
He was trying to hit a really quick opener to Palat. It was just a little bit too far for him.
Well, stay tuned for the Honda First Intermission Report. Eric Brewer will join both Paul and Chris Digman from the studio. We'll have a feature on Hockey and Heels held at the Tampa Bay Times Forum, the women's-centric event that a lot of Lightning female fans look forward to every year. That took place last weekend. We'll have highlights and stats. Puck played ahead. And Gryba chased out of that zone. Greening. And it popped off his stick by Barberio. And Dave Cameron, the assistant coach, makes the catch over there.
Well, Ottawa's been on a kind of a strange part of their schedule as well, Rick. They're out on the road for a while. They're coming back for one, and then they go back on the road again. So everybody's gone through those kind of little quirks in the scheduling.
Mathot, who's got the goal, paired with Gryba. The puck tipped in by Neal, and Barberio playing it back to Brewer. Brewer gets that red line, playing it into Killorn, now going to the net. Killorn with a shot, and Gryba got a stick on that. They've got a big defense, not necessarily mobile right through that unit. Obviously, Erik Karlsson, extremely mobile, but guys like Cowan and Gryba, they're 6'4", 230 pounds. And they've been able to be effective in this first period. Mathot's pretty good size as well. Long pass ahead for Filppula. Leaving it for Carl. Radko Gudas avoids one check, but lost the puck to Stefan DaCosta. To Conbra, shooting, saved by Lindback, controls the puck and covers it up.
Well, Anders has been very solid in there, very steady in there, and patient, letting that play come to him. We saw that when he was playing those 4 in a row, that the more games he played, he became much more quiet in that net, much more patient, and he is there right there, getting ready, getting square to the shooter, let it hit him, and cover up the rebound.
Lightning trying to get to the locker room, no worse than 1-0 down, considering the way this game started. That would be a big step in the right direction. Malone tips that puck, but it's grabbed by Carlson. Barberio takes it. Brewer. Back to Barberio. He'll skate it. Playing it to the corner, follows up. DaCosta coming off a 2-goal performance in the Senators' 3-2 win over Columbus at Nationwide Arena a couple of nights ago. Gets the pass, cuts in and fires, and it's tipped out of play by Brewer with 56.5 seconds to go in the period.
Yeah, he's recalled. He was played the first 4 of 5 games in the very first part of the season, DaCosta, and then sent down. Recalled on January 21st due to the injury. And he's been up ever since. Got a couple of goals the other night. His first 2 in the National Hockey League
this season. As French-born, he's from Paris.
Yeah. I think that's why Paul McLean likes him, because he was born in France, too.
As well. Then back another stop now with Spezza. Matched up with Saddle. Former teammates, well, not quite teammates, but the pass out in front, taken over by Palat, and the Lightning move it ahead. St. Louis into the zone. Swings wide. Finds a man in front in Hedman, but finding him as well was McCulloch. He'll play it back right to Spezza. Waits. Cuts. Looks for Carlson. He scores. The Senators score early, and they score with 24.7 to play in the period. They've got a 2-0 lead.
I'll tell you what, I think Jason Spezza has the great hesitation move. Watch, he takes the shot, stops, gets everybody going the other way, and then finds Carlson. And Hedman had come all the way out to get that rebound, or to get that first shot, but he passes it by. And it's a 2-0 lead, Ottawa here in the 1935 mark. But Spezza has a great hesitation when he comes in off that wing, and he's able to stop. And what's great, too, is he's that right-handed shot coming down that left side, so he has that really good angle to the net right from the start.
Now a scrum from the faceoff to resume play, and it's finally dug free for the Lightning defense. Well, Spezza, goal and an assist in this period. 46 points in 34 games in his career against Tampa Bay. And you look at his numbers. Offensively, they're down. He comes in a -20 for a guy who was +79 to start the season for his career. And you shake your head. How can that be? Well, he looked like the Spezza of old in his first period. Anders Lindback and the Lightning now find themselves down 2-0 after 20 minutes of play here at Canadian Tire Center in Ottawa. Welcome back to Ottawa, where the Senators have a 2-0 lead here at Canadian Tire Center. We're a bit away from Parliament downtown out in Canada. Rick Peckham and the Chief Bobby Taylor back with you. Before we start the second period, Chief, the Lightning were down in Toronto 2-0. Came back to tie. Couldn't take it from there. What's step one here tonight?
Well, they got to get their feet moving a little bit better, Rick. You know, they haven't had a whole lot of action in on Anderson at all. 7 shots, I think, and 9 total towards the net. So they've got to get a little bit more offense going, and they've got to get their feet moving to begin it.
Well, let's have a look at our chase review. We'll see the Lightning one scoring chance in that first period, and the shots favoring the Senators. Lightning with 3 of the first 4 shots, and on the first Ottawa shot, the goal by Mathot on the play in which Ben Bishop was injured, and we're told he is not going to return because of the upper body injury to this game tonight. Well, tonight's Tampa Bay Lightning telecast at Sun Sports is presented by your Tampa Bay area BMW centers.
Anders Lindback has come in and played very solid. You know, he has made a couple of big saves. That one goal, it was just a tremendous move on the part of Jason Spezza to set up Carlson, who'd gotten in right down low, and the Lightning didn't pick him up soon enough, and it made it a 2-0 game.
Now Spezza 2 assists to help the Ottawa cause with the goals by Mathot, and Carlson, the defenseman, registering the goals as Killorn. The Lightning starting this period in the Ottawa zone. Back of the point, Victor Hedman with a shot of save. Rebound, Purcell is stopped out in front as he was working against both Mathot and Greiba. Here's a drive that's off a couple of players out in front. Killorn squared off there with Mathot. And back comes Zach Smith. He shoots, and it's tipped wide by Hedman. Smith with it. Back out to the point. Cowan down the boards for Colin Greening. And Purcell playing it out in front. Valtteri Filppula, you saw him going to the Lightning room as the play continues in the Lightning zone, and Tyler Johnson has control of the puck. Hedman's pass reaching Johnson, looking for room to scoot into that zone. Does so, fires, stick save by Anderson. St. Louis gets it out in front. It's controlled now by Spencer. Headmans to McCulloch. Nice play by Gudas to step up on him. Well, McLean getting production from McCulloch, Spencer, and Zibanejad, all +2 in that first period and registering points. None of them had been scoring with any regularity before this game, and McLean putting them together for this contest. Puck played ahead for Turris. MacArthur. And Zibanejad playing it in, and the Senators are offside, so they got to peel back. On pass, reaching Malone as it was tipped at center. Nate Thompson works with Malone and Crombie. Ceci sliding it up the boards to Ryan. Wierkosh gets the pass. Wierkosh into that zone. Meets up with Eric Brewer. Thompson shouldered in the corner. Turris winding. He'll fire, and a stick save by Lindback, deflecting it high up off the netting on a play.
Well, here's what happened with Valtteri Filppula as he was moving into the zone. He's nowhere near the puck. Watch this, and he gets knocked down by Eric Griba, and he gets his stick in the ribs. Away from the plate, nowhere near the puck, and knocked down. I don't know. Some places they might call that interference. Obviously not here.
Well, he's trying to recover in the hallway behind the Lightning bench. It's been a busy spot here tonight with injured players coming off. Emergency relief goaltenders warming up. And Lindback trying to settle things down in the net. He's allowed 1 goal on the 12 shots he's faced. Mathot knocked to the ice by Malone. Malone comes up with a puck. Now the Senators get it back. Corey Conacher reaching for it along with DaCosta. They cycle it with Eric Condra. And DaCosta firing. It's off the stick of Lindback. Recovered by DaCosta. He's checked by Thompson. They're working to Eric Condra. He's got an unusual connection to Lightning head coach John Cooper, we'll tell you about tonight. Puck played free, and DaCosta getting it to the point to Mathot. Good session for the Senators, and the Lightning trying to put a stop to that. They tipped that shot out of play. Tonight's telecast of Tampa Bay Lightning hockey is brought to you in high definition by H.H. Gregg.
Right now, the Lightning are a little bit scrambly in their own zone, and Ottawa's doing a good job of cycling the puck, and the Lightning haven't been able to interrupt that at all.
Cooper looks at his men, searching for answers here and hoping that they can rebound here in the second period. And we've seen through this month of January, where they've spent so much time on the road, they have played pretty well in the second periods. Cote pins his man along the boards. McCulloch after it. Chop back of the point. Jared Cowan. Spencer lets it go. Cote steps in there, taps it free to Killorn. Out ahead for J.T. Brown. So the Lightning dealing with a loss of Bishop. Right now not with Filppula. Here's a pass. Killorn shoots. He scores! He slides it through the pads of Anderson, and the Lightning do get on the board and cut that lead in half.
Well, I was just talking with Alex Killorn this morning, Rick, about how many goalposts that he's hit over this course of the season. And he says, I know it has to be a lot. He says, pretty soon they're going to start going in. Well, guess what? This one it is. He gets the nice read back from Kucherov and finds the 5-hole on Anderson, and the Lightning have cut that lead by 1. It's his 13th of the year, and it comes at 3:10 here in the second period.
Now Kucherov's becoming quite the playmaker. Picked up a couple of assists the last couple of games to go along with that lightning fast wrist shot of his. And we've got the linesmen discussing things with the ice crew as they now come out.
I think their glass is broken down in the corner to the left of Lindback. You see that right over, it says Hockey Talks. It's right above there. The glass is looks like it's cracked.
The crew trying to analyze how they're going to go about this. The ladder is on the way, and they'll get to work very quickly here at Canadian Tire Center.
Remember, we were here a couple years back where it took them a long time to fix that glass at the back of the net.
Well, Daryl Sador was involved in a collision. They broke the boards in that same corner, maybe around the bend a little bit from there. But that did take a while to fix. Kucherov and Hedman assist on the Killorn goal. Lightning have won only once in their last 9 trips here to this building, newly named the Canadian Tire Center. And we're kind of hoping maybe their luck would change with a new name, Chief, and maybe it will. We'll see.
Well, it's still early, but then Victor Hedman did a nice job of intercepting that pass, and there you see Kucherov trying to curl it back, and it actually bounced off the Ottawa skate right to Killorn, whose quick wrist shot found the 5-hole on Craig Anderson. When you take a look at these two teams, Rick, they've been pretty close since the Christmas break. Lightning have played 16 games, and they've won 8-6 and went 8-6-2. Ottawa's played 15 games. They went 8-3-4.
And consider all the games the Lightning have played on the road and all the traveling they've been doing here in the month of January, which wraps up tonight. The Lightning with an 8-5-1 record in January coming in. So pretty solid record considering the schedule constraints. Now Ottawa is in a stretch of 8 games where they're on the road for 7. This is the only home game of that stretch, but they're not playing the heavy games on top of each other that Tampa Bay was going through. Pick your seats and use them anytime, any way you want with the Lightning Flex plan, starting at just $25 a ticket. Use the tickets in any combination of locations, games, and number of seats throughout the season. Visit TampaBayLightning.com or call 813-301-6600 for more information. We're looking at Lightning fans there. Tom and Erica Goldstein sitting right behind the Lightning bench there from Orlando. Season ticket members, have been for quite a while, and they've been with the team in Toronto. Will stay with the trip here through Montreal, so they're enjoying action right behind the Lightning bench, and great to have them along on this trip. Andre Palat looks to make a play, and St. Louis stick tied up. Zach Smith got there and prevented St. Louis from getting that pass as he was cutting it toward the net. Puck chopped out in front, worked free by Carlson. Palat tripped up, looking back at the referee as if to say, what do you need to see?
Well, it's the referee out at the blue line that makes those calls down deep like that.
Here's Johnson scooting through. Couldn't quite finish the move against Carlson. St. Louis out to the point. Matt Carl fires. Saved by Anderson. Dropped the puck but was able to clear it. Palat back for it. Johnson just grabbed there by Cowan. St. Louis curls it out in front into the slot, and the Senators take over. Greening across to Carlson. He'll take the shot, and it's handled by Lindback, and he'll get a whistle.
Well, I tell you, with that free hand, they call it sometimes, sometimes they don't. But take a look at this big shot, and right off the right shoulder, right arm, bicep actually of Anderson. They went in there, but in front of that net, or behind that net, they had a big wraparound on the Lightning player. Makes you wonder sometimes how the consistency of what, if you call it in the open ice, you got to call it in the scrums.
Shots 4 apiece here in the second. Lightning down 2-1 as the puck sails down the ice. Another whistle for an icing call and a face-off in the Tampa Bay zone.
Well, right now, that goal is kind of giving them a little bit of a life here. But, you know, they're getting a little bit more jump to their steps, getting a little bit more of their swagger back.
That's the thing about this team. I mean, we've seen them a tough start. Bishop gets hurt in the first 2 minutes. They give up a goal in the same play. They never lose their poise, despite being such a young team. Here's a face-off win by the Senators, and a shot by Zibanejad was slowed down. Brewer has it. Up the boards ahead to Malone. He'll tip it to open ice. Wierkosh protege of Lightning assistant coach George Gwozdecky at Denver University. On that Ottawa defense, gets a jolt from Barberio, works the puck free. Malone taps it toward the net. Anderson will settle things down.
That's the key. I mean, that's when the Lightning had such a good start against this club the last time they two met in Tampa, was that they were really getting on that puck in the offensive zone quickly. It really wasn't giving the opportunity for their defense, the Ottawa defense that is, to get turned around and face the play. So far up until this period, they've been able to do that almost 80% of the time, Ottawa. And any time a defenseman in this league can turn around and face the play, they're going to make a good play to get out of trouble.
Turris and Killorn on the face-off. Alex moving to center with the temporary loss of Valtteri Filppula, who went off early in the period. Puck tipped down the ice. Turris gets there, and he'll send it wide. Teddy Purcell controls. He'll hook it back to Hedman. Victor with back-to-back 3-assist games, now picking up a 7th assist in a 4-game span. Salo back with a puck. Sammy playing his first 4 years in the NHL with the Senators before moving on for his long stint as a Vancouver Canuck. Killorn to center. Trying to hold off DaCosta. Does. Goes forehand. Maintains control for a moment. Now joined by Kucherov. DaCosta found an outlet. Conacher looking to speed around Matt Carl. Conacher cuts in, goes backhand, save Lindback, and Conacher went driving into Lindback, and Conacher's going to get a penalty for driving the goaltender, Lindback, and Massenhoven will send him off.
That was a cross-body block.
It looked like he was pointing right at Conacher to send him off, but instead I think he's pointing to the face-off circle.
Oh, look at this.
Why else would you blow the whistle? The puck was loose.
I have no
and
idea.
in no way was it ever close to being covered.
It's incredible.
He's pointing right at Conacher from behind the net when that collision occurs and the whistle blows.
He wasn't knocked into him. He just rolled him right over. They're going to have to really address that. You know, we see this too many times, not just with the Lightning, but every goaltender in this league. It's fair game. They just go after them and constantly.
Palat sends it out for St. Louis. Cowan there playing it. Carlson with Matt Carl knocking down the puck. Carlson sends it in deep in the zone. St. Louis back for it. Jared Cowan, he runs into Van Massenhoven. And Agunas lost inside of the goal. A turnaround by Smith. They score! And Ottawa back up by 2 goals.
Another turnover, and that's the thing. They've been really bothered by that. They get a hold of the puck, they get it to the side of the net, they try to come back out front instead of moving it around the side. It hits the side of the net, comes out what? Instead of moving it out the side, it comes off the net right out front of Smith. It is shot. It should be an unassisted goal here at 6:25, but they've regained their 2-goal lead on a turnover.
Zach Smith scores his 10th goal of the season. Valtteri Filppula back on the ice. Good news for the Lightning there as it's played in by Spezza. Brewer trying to keep it moving. Barberio sends it up the boards, knocked down by McCulloch. Nikita Kucherov for the Lightning to center. He'll keep it away from Anderson. J.T. Brown arrives. Met there by Greiba. Filppula takes the puck. Kucherov in front. Filppula occupied by Spezza. Now to Barberio. Playing it to Kucherov. Knocked free in the slot. Zibanejad has it. He overleads Spezza. Unassisted goal by Smith. At 6:25 makes it 3-1 Ottawa. Spezza shoots it in. Hedman over for it. Barberio Hands it to Hedman. And lifted it in off the helmet of Nate Thompson. Conacher back there for it. He has it once again. Good pass to Wierkosh. With a waiting Condra at the line. His shot is deflected off the glass. Thompson playing it to Crombie. Wierkosh comes back. Ceci his partner. Shots 18-11 favoring the Senators. Condra playing it down the boards. Hedman there for it. Salo had it poked off the stick. Meets up with DaCosta at center. Coming across is Ceci down the boards. Collides there with Malone. It's knocked free. Salo gets a stick on it. Lightning gain control. B.J. Crombie flips that puck to center. Lightning trying to get a change going here with that long change in the second period. Brown comes on for Malone. Puck tipped through center by Ryan. He's slowed up there by Salo. Cote backboard. Icing is going to be the call.
Hands up. Unhappy with that icing call, and the thing of it is, nobody knows what icing is.
Let's have a look at the Lightning's road ahead, brought to you by Toyota.
Saturday afternoon in Montreal, Tuesday in Minnesota, and that'll conclude the road trips until the Olympic break, because they have home games against Toronto and Detroit before the respective Olympic teams will leave for Russia.
Ward takes the shot that's wide. MacArthur moving it to Jared Cowan. Ryan feeds it out for Ceci, who joins the attack along with MacArthur. Played well by Cote. Carl gets the puck. J.T. Brown starts it ahead. Cowan sends it across to Ceci. Shoved by Killorn. Still with control of the puck. Pass at the line. Held in by Carl. Here's Palat shooting, and it's tipped away as Cowan and Ceci both were in there reaching for it. And Carl playing it to Palat. Turns to the forehand, feeding it to Brewer. Down the middle, stripped away by Cowan. Cowan bumped in that race for the puck by Palat. Ceci has it back. Cody Ceci getting it to Jared Cowan. And the big guy lumbers to center. He'll drop it in the corner where Barberio gets to it. Brewer. His pass knocked down. Smith has it. Feeding it in front for Greening. He was tied up by Barberio. And the Lightning spin it ahead to Palat. Johnson with him in the rush. They're held up at the line. Zach Smith. Now with Colin Greening. His pass deflected off Johnson. St. Louis tried to gather it in. Tyler Johnson does. Johnson cuts in. Backhand try knocked down by Anderson as he took it off the chest.
Boy, he's been giving the rebounds up tonight, Rick. He hasn't been controlling a lot of those shots. He only had 12. That's probably why. So used to a lot more shots, a lot more activity.
Lightning have had to juggle the lines a little bit with Filppula leaving the game, then coming back, and was on for a brief time. That puck deflects out of play. As the Lightning getting on the board, the goal by Killorn. Smith is answered for Ottawa.
We're just past the halfway point of this second period, and Terry Filppula came out with one shift, and he's trying to maneuver, and he does all that sharp stopping and turning and quick starting, and you see him right there. To me, it looks like it's his hip or his rib injury, and you can see him there talking to Tommy Mulligan, or just kind of signaling to him that it's really hindering him badly. So I would not expect him back, at least in this period, maybe the third. So if that's the case, Lightning will be 2 guys short.
Don't forget, Word will send that along. Lightning down to 10 forwards without him. And they had Kucherov up with Johnson and Marty St. Louis in that last shift before the break. We should see a lot of this group with Crombie, Malone, and Thompson. They've been effective in recent games when played together. And Thompson bumping into McCulloch. Letting them play tonight in terms of physical play, which would certainly favor the Ottawa Senators, a much bigger team, but not nearly as fast. Here's Spezza. Walks to the middle. Shoots, save, Lindback. Rebound. He makes a stop on the rebound. Turn around, and it's set wide by Spezza as he was set up on that whirling move by Erik Karlsson. Gudas gets it free. Carl to center. He'll bring it in and shoot. And then flooded out the defense by Cowan. Malone. Forced to the boards there. Brombean joining the tussle as well as Alex Killorn, who's come on. And Killorn, as we've noted, has moved to center in the absence of Filppula. Puck comes out in front, and Carlson gets control. Lightning changing with Killorn joined by Purcell and J.T. Brown. Brown on the forecheck, fights off a hook from Brown as Carlson with a pass through to DaCosta, and his feed was intercepted as Salo stepped in there. Anticipating that pass was Corey Conacher. Purcell loads up for the shot. That's blunted by Carlson, and DaCosta speeds back. Barberio in position. DaCosta hands it now to Mark Method. Across, drive a big wind-up, and a save by Lindback. Held in by Method. He got the game-opening goal. Eric Condra working that corner. Lightning get control, and Brown headmans now to Purcell. And Teddy will spin it in.
Yeah, they haven't been able to get any kind of their forecheck going here, Rick. It's been only, they've been dumping it in, getting the change. Anytime that happens, then your offense is going to be really at a standstill.
Andre Palat back working with Johnson in St. Louis. Here comes Brewer with Marty St. Louis carrying the puck into the zone and flipping it to the corner, trying to get around Greiba. Won't give an inch there, and St. Louis battles his way through, lost his stick. And it's played out by Bobby Ryan. Salo with a pass played back in by Greiba, and the play's offside. He did so from his side of center. Being instructed on that by the linesman.
(20-12) shots favoring Ottawa. Scoreboard as well, 3-1, as both teams have exchanged goals here in the second period. And the Lightning, without Ben Bishop, went out at the 149 mark, and Valtteri Filppula out as well, at least so far. We haven't had an update on him. So as you see there, you see all kinds of different combinations out there, mainly because the Lightning were down a forward anyway. Now they're down 2 because they always dress the 11 and then 7 deep.
Salo plays it out of the reach of Kucherov, who's on with Purcell and Killorn. Cutting in Chris Neal. Cote back for it. He's bumped by Smith. And Cote throwing his weight around in that corner against Zach Smith. Kucherov back for the puck. And Neal caught him with a hit. Puck left side of the goal. And Lindback able to cover it while holding onto the stick with that blocker. As we step aside, Ottawa leading in this one, 3-1. Welcome back. You see John Cooper on the left, Eric Condra on the right. John Cooper, in beginning his coaching career in the Detroit area, was coaching a midget AAA team sponsored by Honey Baked Ham in the Detroit area. Eric Condra played in that team. They won a national championship. Cooper's family and Condra's family became good friends. They lived in the same area. In fact, Eric Condra was an usher in John Cooper's wedding party. One of 2 former players of Cooper who was an usher for him in his wedding, and Condra ended up playing for Cooper in his next stop, Texarkana, in the North American Hockey League. And from there, Condra went on to the USHL with a different club, Lincoln, while Cooper went on to Green Bay, and Condra went on from there to Notre Dame. But what an interesting connection, coaching against one of his ushers.
Well, I think he wanted the French flavor in his wedding. Condra being born in Paris.
Zibanejad chops at that puck. Malone has it. Bromby takes it. Muscled there by Wiercioch. Thompson has it. And Brewer joining the attack with the Lightning down a couple. We've seen him step up. Here's a try toward the net. Shoveled away by Ceci, and the puck fired down the ice. Icing call results.
I'll make that DeCostra. Should have mixed him up with Condor. DeCostra was the one born in Paris.
Well, the Tampa Bay Storm under new head coach Lawrence Samuels kick off the 2014 season in March. For a limited time, when you purchase 2 full season ticket plans, you get 2 more free. Order now at TampaBayStorm.com or by calling 813-301-6600. Spencer always has been strong in the face-off circle, wins that draw. And McCulloch playing at the center. Palat comes back to take it. St. Louis takes the puck, lugs it in, checked by Zibanejad. Marty has it once again, sliding to the point, but it ends up on the stick of Spezza. Lofts went off Johnson's stick, comes down to Ceci. Carl, lead pass with Ottawa changing, and St. Louis steps into that zone. Looks for Johnson, broken up at the defense by Wierkosh. Puck fired to the point. Matt Carl with the shot, deflected by Johnson. A stop in front, turnaround by Johnson. That's blocked. Palat going to settle down the puck. Johnson pokes at it. Carlson gets it out to center, leading it ahead off Smith's stick. Carl plays it back to Johnson. Lightning up Kucherov on. As a fresh body, as Smith with a high shot that's handled by Lindback. And he'll get a whistle with 4:25 to go in this second period. 3-1 Ottawa in front. Welcome back. Senators up 2 here in the second. And let's answer our LRE trivia question. Who is the only defenseman in Ottawa Senator history to record a hat trick? Sammy Salo back in 1999 at Pittsburgh against the Penguins. Here he is in action. He finishes off the hat trick. Number 5 as he scores there. And quite a moment for any hockey player.
I wonder if he smiled. You know, Sammy's pretty even-keeled. Doesn't get too excited.
Pass comes back to Cowan shooting. And it's just wide past the screen. Lindback. It's fired off Turris to center. Turris playing it by MacArthur's stick, and Sammy Salo right there. 3-on-2. Kucherov steps to the middle, looks for a better shooting angle, as well as Hedman coming in, and his backhand drive was stopped by Anderson. Here's a shot from the boards by Brown that missed the net. Comes out to Hedman. Now to Barberio firing, and it's tipped by Killorn wide. Kucherov to Barberio. And the puck just bounced off the toe of his stick. He'll have to chase it down at center. And the Lightning will reorganize from there. It's bounced in toward Anderson. And the veteran goaltender will hang on to that puck for the whistle.
Well, take a look at the 2 Ottawa defensemen that were drafted in the same year. As you see there, Chris Phillips was taken first overall and has played his whole entire career with Ottawa. Sammy was taken 239. And this is his 3rd team. He was traded to Vancouver from Ottawa, and then, of course, signed here as a free agent. And he's primarily known for a big, booming shot on a power play, but he's been a very, very solid defenseman. Very smart, very good at angles, and very good at using his body.
A shot by Crombie tipped out of play. The latest word on Valtteri Filppula. He has a lower body injury, doubtful return. So Bishop out for this game and doubtful for Filppula. Spezza pulls that puck back to Anderson. McCulloch right there with the Barberio as it's lifted out by Spezza. It ends up on the stick of Brewer. Thought will take it. Thought coming back home to Ottawa last year. And he was Carlson's partner, played very, very well. In fact, so impressed the hockey world that he was invited to the training camp for Team Canada last summer. Was not selected for the team.
It's somewhat of a controversy, though, when these 2 teams met in Tampa, because he was all healthy and ready to go, and he was sat out a couple of games as a healthy scratch, and it didn't sit well with him.
Brown being bumped there by Cowan along the end boards. Thompson has it. Crombie has it. Malone in front. Looking for a way to get it to him, but Carlson spoiled that. And the word from McLean was that they wanted him to simplify his game. And he's been back a couple of games. Condra to center, fires it off the skate of Conacher. Gudas off the glass, held in the zone by DaCosta. He looks for Erik Karlsson, always active out there. Karlsson with a shot, knocked down by Palat, got it free. Palat gets to it, St. Louis with him, and the play's offside. Ooh. Lightning fans, Tradewinds Island Resorts is inviting Bolts fans to head out to St. Pete Beach Saturday at 1 p.m. for a Sun Sports Lightning Watch Party hosted by the Fox Sports Florida Girls. Lightning fans are invited to come to the Guy Harvey Outpost for a fun-filled, family-friendly watch party on the big screen by the beach. Some Lightning fans in the house. We've talked about the Goldstein sitting right behind the bench. They're not alone.
Talked about this the last time we were in Canada, Rick, out in the western part of the country, where you see just everywhere they went, the Lightning had a couple of fans with the Lightning jerseys.
How can you not like this team? The way they've been playing, they've been making a lot of fans out of media people around the league as well. As the Senators on the rush, MacArthur's shot is blocked by Salo, and back comes Killorn. He's got Kucherov. Dishing it back to Killorn, swept away by MacArthur. Turris ahead for Ryan, slips in behind Barberio, taps and free, they score! Turris finished off the play to make it 4-1.
Well, the Lightning went on their transition. They got caught. Now they see an odd man rush. And coming in, nice play on the part of Edmund to put Ryan away, but Ryan had the presence of mind to get that back to Turris, who was wide open, trailing him. Look at this. What a play by Bobby Ryan to give Turris the opportunity to score his 18th of the year. $18:40 will be the time of that goal, and it's a 4-1 Ottawa lead.
Kyle Turris, we talked about him in the open, having a career season, a third overall pick from 2007. He's having some contract difficulties with the Phoenix Coyotes, who drafted him, and thus he was traded here. He's had a couple of 29-point seasons last year with the shorter schedule, of course. But he has broken through here as Spezza has really had his problems, and I'm sure some of that at least is related to the back surgery that limited him to 5 games last year and only 3 in the playoffs. But Turris has stepped up to get the job done. Thompson sliding it to Crombie. Crombie trying to muscle his way to the net, was shut off by Wiercott. Here's Malone to the wraparound, stopped by Anderson. Malone gets it back. Under a minute to go here in the second. Lightning had cut that lead to 1 goal, but now it's up to 3, the biggest of the game. Ceci racing in there for the puck. He's met on a solid hit by Brewer. Thompson's pass deflected by Zibanejad. Barberio involved. Gets it free to Brewer. Off the boards through center. Karlsson rifles the pass off the boards to Spezza. They've got Smith offside. Have to back off. 25 seconds to go in the period. Pass off the stick of St. Louis. Karlsson bumped in there by Palat. Chris Neal back for the puck. Got it away from Johnson. Chips it to center. Inside 10 seconds to go. The race on. Gudas got there ahead of Greening. Puck lifted off the glass. It hit Palat. And he'll wait it out. And that's going to do it for the second period of play. As Ottawa led 2-0 after 1. They lead 4-1 after 2. Stay tuned for the Honda second intermission report. Here's what's coming up. We'll have the Lightning injury update with Bishop and Phil on the sideline. We'll take you around the NHL. A busy night in the NHL with Paul and Chris back in the studio, and highlights and stats as well. So stay with us. Tampa Bay Lightning hockey is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. By GMC. See the all-new 2014 Sierra 1500 at your greater Tampa Bay area GMC dealer. And by Nissan. During Nissan's Easy Choice sales event, the choice is easy. The savings are big. Shop at ChooseNissan.com. Welcome back to Canada's capital city, Ottawa. Senators leading 4-1 as we start play here in the third period. Greg Anderson doing a little house cleaning behind his net. Anders Lindback taking over very early in this game for Ben Bishop. Ready to go at the other end, and Anderson gets the puck sent his way. Turris' goal that made it 4-1. Ryan the only assist on that one at 18:40 of the second period. As the Senators formulate the rush, the puck played off the glass and out of the reach of Greening. Hedman controls it. Leaving it back for Ryan Malone. Pried loose by Smith. Thompson takes over. Now Greiba has it. Lindback waits for that puck to come into the trapezoid, playing it back up the boards for Crombeen. Thompson to center ice. Thompson into that zone, trailed by Neal. Backhands it toward the net. Nate gets it back again. Barberio shoots, and a save there by Anderson. Cowan comes across for it. Knocked down by Hedman. He's dumped as Turris takes over for Ottawa. They're completing a change up ice, and Tyler Johnson controls for the Lightning. Victor Hedman sails it ahead. Marty St. Louis races after it, gets to it, sends it off Anderson, and he controls it in front of the feet of Andre Palat. Tonight's Tampa Bay Lightning telecast in Sun Sports is presented by your Tampa Bay area BMW centers.
I think you've been hurt with the final minutes of each period. Carlson gave him a 2-0 lead with 25 seconds to go, and then Turris gave him that 4-1 lead with 1:20 to go. They've been pretty good at managing the puck in those areas, and tonight they just haven't been able to do as well.
St. Louis back out to Carl. Back to Marty, and it's tapped free, and here comes MacArthur. Barberio back in good shape with his skating ability. Turris back for Ottawa. Sends Peel off at a change. Barberio ahead for Palat. And it chopped away by McCulloch, but Carl takes it. Kucherov with him in the zone. That shot handled by Anderson. And he'll take the whistle. Let's have a look at the Lightning chase review here through 40 minutes with the recap of the stats sheet.
Yeah, you can see the difference. Scoring chances haven't been a whole lot of difference, really. The power plays for both teams. Each team has had but one opportunity. Ottawa getting 4 shots on theirs. The Lightning just 1.
They've had 9 hits from Jared Cowan, who's been part of a very solid effort on that Ottawa defense without Chris Phillips, who's missed a couple of games with a lower body injury. No penalties in that second period. Each team having a power play chance. The only 2 minor penalties called in the first period. Killorn has the puck, getting it now to Purcell. He'll slide it in toward Anderson, who's ready to fire it with a stick, and does so off the boards down the ice. Scott Cherry indicates we've got an icing call.
Should the Lightning be able to connect with the goal in the early part of this period, it could make it a very interesting one. You know, they played 2:11 into this period, but I think if you're really get some adrenaline pumping and to get your game going, you get one early. Now you get it down to a manageable 2-goal deficit.
Spezza 10-6 in the circle through the first 2 periods, win this one, and the long pass ahead played away by Salo. JT Brown keeps it on the boards. Around for Malone. Malone has it once again. Works against Spezza. Thompson joins that battle along the boards. Hedman digging for it. And Malone is able to hoist it back to the corner. Brown walled off by Greiba. Here's Malone shooting off the pads of Anderson. Comes out to Eric Greiba. And he surprised his partner Mathon out in front of the net, but the Senators move it now to Jason Spezza cutting in and shooting. Saved by Lindback. The puck came free, no whistle. And it's moved out of trouble by Thompson. Lindback was down at his right knee. The pad had covered it partially, but the puck came free.
Boy, Hedman really did a nice job of kind of distracting him enough so he couldn't get any kind of a lift on that shot.
Tyler Johnson. Now it's sent out in front of the Lightning net. Comes out to Wierkosh. Condra playing it back to DaCosta. That play spoiled by Tyler Johnson. Speeds ahead, works against his old buddy Conacher. Carl comes by, looks for Johnson. He's knocked to the ice and shaken up on the hit by Condra. Well, the Lightning have lost a goaltender, and apparently Filppula doubtful to return for this game. Johnson shaken up and remains out there. He's positioned in front, looking for a loose puck there against Ceci. DaCosta punched it free. Eric Condra. Long backhand try, fended off by Lindback. JP Cote with a puck. Palat leaving it for Carl. Past the 4-minute mark here in the third. Nikita Kucherov launches it into the zone. Corralled now by Teddy Purcell. He'll feed it down the boards. Killorn works against Cowan. Good work by Alex Killorn. It hasn't been a strong game, obviously, for the Lightning, but Alex Killorn has played well. Here's Ryan winding, waiting, shooting. Lindback the save. He got put going by the net with Turris involved as well as Ryan. And we're finally going to get a penalty called out of Van Massenhoven with activity around Anders Lindback.
I guess Turris came by and just kicked the skates out in Lindback. As you watch, here's the shot coming in right here. Now watch how he kicks the skate right there to try and take him out of the play and to disrupt him, and he's going to get. Well,
he's going to get right. He was pointing at both of them, Chief.
It was Turris that did it, and they're giving it to Bobby Ryan.
At first, he pointed to Turris and was giving a penalty indication, and then he points to Ryan, and McLean is a little confused as well. So the Lightning end up with a power play chance.
Turris was the one that came in with a scoring chance. 4:35. The Lightning will get their second power play of the game.
And an opportunity to perhaps get the kind of goal you're talking about, Chief, here in this Toyota power play opportunity. However, the Senators get control from the faceoff. Mathot will drive it down the ice. Victor Hedman carries through center. Relieved of the puck by the Senators. However, they can't clear. Kucherov is muscled off the puck. Hedman holds it in. Around for Purcell. Now to Hedman. Around to Johnson in the slot. The shot is wide and high by Kucherov. And St. Louis pass out of the reach of Victor Hedman to center. Purcell guides the play in. Playing it to Kucherov. Dug free there by Greening. And he's able to slide it down the ice.
Well, you got 5 guys within 10 feet. You only need one guy to cover them all when you're going in that zone.
Johnson swings wide as St. Louis back of the point and finds him. Hedman with a puck bobbling on his stick. Saved it for Purcell. And he's challenged there by Milan Michalek. And Michalek joined in the rush by Greening. Michalek shooting, and it's off Hedman to the corner. Michalek with it once again. 45 seconds to go in the call against Ryan as Kucherov escapes with a puck. And a good play to Carl. Around the corner he goes. Backhanded, stopped by Anderson. Palat after it. Trying to swing in front. Swept away by Condren. He got it to Zach Smith with 26 seconds to go on the power play for the Lightning. Smith getting to it in the corner. Playing it back to Condren. Mathot wants it. Gets it. Didn't get it in a good spot for a shot, though. He's able to hem in the Lightning a bit more, though. Brown appreciating the penalty-killing efforts here of the Senators, protecting a 4-1 lead. And Ryan set to come out of the box. He does. Here's Malone's pass, and it's blocked by Greiva, fired by Malone off the stick of Craig Anderson. 3-on-2 back for Ottawa. Ryan waits, trying to feed it through, knocked down by Gudas. In behind the net, Turris gets to it. In the slot, they score! Ryan fires it home. And Ottawa now leads 5-1.
Wow, they have just not got their legs here tonight. It's just been all Ottawa. They've been beating them to every loose puck in their zone, watching, not even covering guys in front of the net. They're watching it and kind of not really reacting at all. And that's been their biggest trouble right now. They're down by 4, 5-1.
Ryan hits the 20-goal plateau. He had 4 30-goal seasons with the Anaheim Ducks. He's one of the underrated snipers in the NHL, certainly underrated by Team USA. And he's been looking for a goal. He's had only one his last 12 games until this one. He and Turris take turns assisting on each other's goals to help build a 5-1 lead. Brewer and Barberio challenged in behind that net. Crombie tried to help out. Barberio feeds it back out to Crombie. Rink-wide pass is dug away. Brown has it. Brown sets up, fires across, and McCulloch's stick spoiled that pass intended for Crombie, cutting toward the net. Bobby Ryan has scored. It's a 5-1 Ottawa lead. 5-1 Ottawa here, as every stop on this trip, especially up here in Canada, everybody wants to know from the media standpoint what's the latest with Steven Stamkos, and head coach John Cooper was posed that question earlier today. Here's what he had to say.
Eventually it's going to have to come down to a situation where he's going to have to start battling with guys in the corner just to see how those instinctive movements go, and is he going to feel it? Because he can do all the crossovers he wants out there and have fun and go up and down with those battles, but that's where it's going to come into play. And so eventually it's going to have to happen here soon, because we're running out of time. And the one thing we've said from the beginning, though, he will not put his health at risk to go to the Olympics. And I know that's his top priority, make sure he goes over there, but his health will override that.
So the contact portion of his rehab certainly has not begun in earnest for Steven, so we'll obviously keep you posted on this trip about any progress that he would make in that regard and any news that would come out of it. Andre Palat comes up with a puck. Cuts to center. Puck taken over by Erik Karlsson. Colin Greening will push it in deep. Lightning staring at losing back-to-back games in regulation for the first time since late November, early December, when they were shut out in back-to-back games by the Penguins at home and the Blue Jackets in Columbus. Purcell. Just one more impressive thing about this season for this young Tampa Bay Lightning team. It's only the third. Actually, they've only lost back-to-back in regulation twice this year. They lost 3 in a row in that Western trip. And then those 2 losses at the end of November, early December. Tampa Bay Area BMW Centers want to remind you to tune in Saturday with the Lightning continuing on this trip. The matchup in Montreal against the Canadiens. Coverage begins at 12:30 p.m. with Lightning Live, presented by the Tampa Bay Area BMW Centers. How many teams can say that, Gene?
Yeah, not many. It's been a very consistent season for them. They haven't had a whole lot of tough outings, where they've been completely out of the game in a sense. And this might be the first one in a long time since maybe that 5-0 loss against Boston.
Or one of those games on the West Coast trip.
Yeah.
CC cuts it and shoots over the shoulder.
Yeah, that San Jose game possibly. But it's been a long time.
Spezza's drive tipped in the air, landed behind the net, and it's fed out in front by Zibanejad, and away comes J.T. Brown. And the Lightning, since that trip, coming into this game, 17 wins, 9 regulation losses, and 4 overtime losses. So they have felt the sting of those losses and certainly responded course, that was early on after Steven Stamkos was injured. A short time before that in the game in Boston, November 11th. See the Lightning for only $10 a ticket in the Coke Zero Zone. Coke Zero Zone seats are available for all Lightning home games. Plus, you get a free 12-ounce Coke Zero with your purchase. Order now at Ticketmaster.com or by calling 800-745-3000.
Well, they just got a big rise out of the crowd here. They posted up that Toronto beat the Florida Panthers 6-3. And, of course, pretty big rivalry between Ottawa and Toronto.
Puck tipped down the ice by MacArthur.
There's a big rivalry against Toronto almost in every team, it seems. Because I don't think the Canadians and the Leafs always have had a big rivalry since the 30s.
And Ryan belted at center ice there by Andre Palat. And Saddle takes the puck ahead for Tyler Johnson. Fired across by St. Louis. Palat gets to it. Sharp angle. Carries it behind the net. Hooks it in front. Picked up by Carl. The backhander, and it's deflected away by Anderson. St. Louis gets it back to Barberio. And deep for Tyler Johnson, catching up to it. Leaving it for Carl. Trying to poke it to St. Louis. Carlson broke it up. Ryan chops it to center. Johnson picks it up there. Palat. Carlson steps up to keep the puck away from Tyler Johnson. Well, the Senators have done a good job against this line. St. Louis, Johnson, and Palat have been tremendous in the first two games. Here's Killorn with a shot that's slowed down by Carlson. He's still out there. Here's a try by Purcell, and it deflects out of play. With 9:14 to go in this third period, and Ottawa in front 5-1.
5-1 Ottawa leading. You're looking at Kyle Turris, and he's one of the main reasons why. Kyle Turris is tonight's diamond performance brought to you by Ackerman Jewelers, and he picked up that goal at the end of the second period to give them a 4-1 lead, and then of course set up Bobby Ryan early in this third period to give him a 5-1 lead where we stand now. So our Ackerman diamond performance of the game goes to Kyle Turris.
Eric Condra finds the puck at center, trying to play it in, punched away by Brewer. Still up for grabs. DaCosta reaching for it, finds it, and the puck sent behind the net as Conacher got dumped by Cote. Cote's pass off to Costa. Curls it back in front. Purcell grabs it. Got it to Brewer.
Well, I'll tell you what, Rick, this has been a tremendous game for Ottawa. They've been so on the puck. They've been very quick to the puck. They've been forechecking extremely well in this game tonight.
Brewer to center. He'll play it in. As we mentioned, they've been a 500 team at home last year. They were 15-6-3 in the shortened season here on home ice in a building that had a different name. It wasn't the Canadian Tire Center. And the puck flipped ahead. And cutting on in front, Spencer trying to set the table for McCulloch as Zibanejad got clipped. And we've got a Lightning penalty upcoming. High sticking indicated at 11:53.
Yeah, he tried to backhand that puck, and the follow-through clipped him. And it'll be Ottawa's opportunity for their second power play.
Tampa number 8, minor penalty, high sticking.
Chief, they've started the wave here, which is an indication that it's not been an action-packed night.
No, exactly. Well, the interesting thing about Ottawa, they've given up 88 goals at home, and it's the second most in the East this year. Lightning haven't been able to really get any offense going from them.
Carlson carries it deep, and he'll send it back between the point men. Yeah, that's the odd thing all year about the Senators, who won only 4 of their first 14 games, is how poor they've been defensively through the season. And certainly, as you point out, not showing any signs of that tonight. But 26th in the league defensively. They were second last year. Here's a pass out in front to Carlson. Digs it out of his skates. Going to get it in front. Kicked away by Salo, and Hedman controls it. And he's able to backhand it over Mathot down the ice. 1:14 to go in the penalty. They're almost a goal a game worse defensively than they were last year. They were barely over 2 goals a game. Now they're at just under 3. Here's a steal by Palat. Johnson off to the races. Cuts in and Anderson scores! Tyler Johnson. A shorthanded goal. And it's a 5-2 game.
Good play in the central, in the neutral zone rather. And, Andre Palat steals it, passes it up to Johnson, who goes in and just rips that shot. It was through the 5-hole before Anderson could even move. Tyler Johnson picks up 17th goal of the year, shorthanded. Andre Palat extends his point streak to 5 games now.
Now Johnson had fallen behind Nathan MacKinnon in the rookie scoring race by a point coming in and was behind him by a couple of goals. And Tyler now with his second shorthanded goal. And the puck chopped down the ice by Radko Gudas. Anderson out to play that puck ahead for Ryan. Relays it to Turris. Bobby Ryan will get it there with 24 seconds to go on the penalty to Mark Barberio. Look out in the Lightning bench. That puck is backhanded into the bench, short of the back glass. For amazing stories every day and in-depth coverage of tonight's game, pick up the official newspaper of the Tampa Bay Lightning and their fans, the Tampa Bay Times. Call 877 The Times or visit tampabay.com. Tyler Johnson has scored the Lightning's 5th shorthanded goal of the season.
Well, he's certainly been very good one-on-one when he's had that opportunity with those goaltenders. If you recall, he got that goal up over top of Anderson's shoulder very quickly. I think that was his other shorthanded goal, wasn't it, there a couple weeks back in Tampa?
Virkash with a drive, stopped by Lindback. Rebound got away, but Johnson has it and guides it safely to the corner. It's played out in front for Brewer. And Tyler now points in 14 of his last 18 games. As out of the box, Barberio. Lightning not only killed the penalty, they get one on the board, trailing 5-2, and the shorthanded goal by Johnson. DaCosta swerves into the zone. Looks to make a play out of that corner. Instead, fired it off Lindback. Virkash takes it. It deflects in front. Johnson has it. Fired away by Cote, ahead for Marty St. Louis. Palat sends it off St. Louis' stick, gets to it, now to Palat shooting. And a stick save by Anderson. Well, this is the line that really has given Paul McLean's team some problems. The Lightning coming in with this line, 8 points and a plus 11 among the 3 of them in the first 2 games. Killorn sliding it down low. Cote down the boards. St. Louis there. Going to lose his man Mathot. Side of the goal, Malone takes over. Back out to Cote. Now to Hedman with the shot. Kicked away by Anderson. He had some traffic with Killorn in front. And Hedman plays it back to Cote. The quick up ahead for St. Louis. And the Lightning in the midst of a change back there. Cote has to head back for it. He was set to change for Gudas. Ryba with it. Hedman gets a stick on it. Ryba turns away from Purcell. Chris Neal across for Zach Smith. He's got a goal in this contest for Ottawa. Malone. Cross for Killorn. Malone into that zone. He's met by Neal. Ryba back. Checked by Killorn. Carl down the boards to join the tussle. Lightning outmanned the Senators in that corner. Won the puck, but Mathot has it back. Mark Mathot, the ex-Blue Jacket, he missed his man McCulloch on that pass, and the play ends up in an icing call. Shots 28 apiece for this game. McCulloch and Carl, former San Jose teammates.
I was just taking a look there. There's a kind of a controversy, but what they're trying to do is get the same guys back on the ice. And you see the most goals in a season by a rookie is for Steven Stamkos. And the bulk of those 23 goals came in the second half of the year, too. Richards with 21. Now Tyler Johnson with his 17th tonight.
And 28 games plus the remaining 4:06 of regulation of this one. To add to that total, it's dumped in by Neal. Brewer chased by Spezza, who had a couple of first period assists to help Ottawa set the tone in this game. Brewer's shot is handled by Anderson, and he'll hang on to it. 3:49 to go here in the third. Tyler Johnson, and a shorthanded breakaway, scores the Lightning's second goal. Now it's time to vote on the Steak and Shake 3 stars of the game Twitter poll. See the candidates. Alex Killorn scored the first Lightning goal when they were down 2-0 at that point of the game early in the second. Tyler Johnson, a shorthanded goal. Kyle Turris, Bobby Ryan, line mates all year, and they certainly have clicked. Jason Spezza in a bit of an offensive revival, and certainly the Lightning seem to bring out the best for him. Lightning Live postgame. We'll have the responses. So make your votes. Cast your ballot electronically. And Chief, as you noted, Tyler Johnson, the other shorthanded goal he has was against the Senators in that game last week where he opened the scoring, and that really helped to set the tone. So Lightning, great start that night. Certainly helped them with the win, though it had to go to a shootout to get it. And Ottawa, great start here tonight, and Johnson stopped out in front as he's banging at the door for another goal. The Lightning staying with it with 3:25 to go in the third. Palat, Purcell doing a lot of the heavy lifting in that corner. St. Louis has the puck, back to Hedman, fakes the shot, wrists it, and it's tipped wide by Johnson. He nearly had another one. Salo to Hedman. He'll shoot, and it's off Greening's stick. Ends up in the corner. St. Louis after it. Back for Palat. Johnson with him. A few murmurs from the crowd here as the Lightning continue to control the puck. Salo to Palat in an open net. It's in front. Hedman shoots. He scores! Victor Hedman finally settled it. Put the puck in the net. With 2:52 to go in the third period, and it's a 5-3 score.
Wow. Lightning really getting all over the Senators in this whole series of action here. One of the things that's kind of interesting is the fact that they were really quick to the puck, and Ottawa just kind of collapsed in and around their goal. They've been playing such a solid game in their own zone. They haven't been really hemmed in a whole lot throughout this whole contest. Now Hedman picks up number 11 on the year, and it's down to a 5-3 game now with just under 3 minutes to go.
It sure looked like a yellow stick making that pass out of the corner. If so, Marty St. Louis has hit the 600 assist mark for his career. And with time with Rocket Richard in the all-time points list, he had his 10-game point streak snapped on Tuesday, and then it would appear, nothing official yet, but we'll await the call on it. 5-3 the score, and still 2:46 to go in the third. Victor Hedman, you know, he doesn't want to come off the ice. He's hoping that he can get this puck off the face-off win by Thompson, or perhaps a pass from Sammy Salo. Salo will carry it in deep. He's got 3 teammates in front, make it 4. Malone has stopped the shot. Anderson a save there on Kucherov, and he hangs on. The Lightning could have taken a team picture around the Ottawa net.
I'll tell you what, Rick, if he doesn't get across to make that save, it's 5-4, and boy, and a lot of time left. But Kucherov's quick shot, and Anderson very, very quickly got over to his left side and covered all the holes, if there was any there. It almost was a 1-goal game at that point.
Johnson and St. Louis do get the assists on the goal by Victor Hedman. And for Heddy, number 11 on the season for him, and his second point of the night could vault him back into the top 10 among defensemen scoring. But to the task at hand, the Lightning keep pounding at the door. Down 2 goals with 2.5 to play in the third. And 6 skaters on as Salo's pass out of the zone. It's fired in behind the net. Comes around to the point to Salo. Feeds it across. St. Louis shoots, and he scuffed it wide. Comes back to Purcell. Getting it to Palat. He turns. Good pass to Hedman. Now to St. Louis shooting. Saved by Anderson. Rebound kept alive by Johnson. Poked free. St. Louis gets a stick on it. Tried to center. And the Senators desperate to come up with a puck deal. Couldn't get it by Hedman. Johnson back to St. Louis. Waits for traffic in the slot. Pass tipped by Mathot. Barberio off the bench. Fresh legs. Has the puck. Feeding it out of Hedman. He'll wind. He'll fake. Getting it out of Barberio. Around to Purcell. Barberio, quick shot. Glove by Anderson. He hangs on. 1:45 remaining in the third.
And Lindback has been pulled. He was pulled very quickly. As soon as the Lightning won that face-off, he was off the ice and in for that sixth attacker. Good fake here. And then this one here, the quick shot. And it was tried to be deflected by Kucherov in front. And see Anderson with the quick hands making the save and forcing another face-off.
Lightning trailing 5-1 on the goal at just about the 7-minute mark by Bobby Ryan. But they've come back with 2 goals in about 4 minutes or so. As the Senators moving out, here's McCulloch. Misses the open net with a backhand try. Thompson hurries back to get to it. Leaving it for Barberio. Backhands it ahead to Kucherov. His outlet was knocked down by Condra. Thompson has it. Had it taken away. Spezza waiting. Fires. Blocked by Killorn. 1:17 to go. The drama continues with Kucherov to center. Chipping it ahead. Killorn trying to skate into that pass. Chopped away by Cowan. Barberio got it toward the net. Handled by Carlson. He's more than willing to take this game into his hands. Backhanded by McCulloch. He missed on the other side. And Spezza has it. A minute to go here in the third. And Spezza goes for a skate. Almost had it taken away by Malone. Killorn has it. Lightning able to get a change now as Killorn drives it in. Carlson and Malone both go by the puck. Marty St. Louis is on. Malone pried it loose. Gets it to St. Louis, trying to set it up in front of his block. He has it again. 36 seconds to go. St. Louis fires, and he fires it by the glove of Anderson off the glass. Shoveled back at the point. Hedman shot missed the net. St. Louis has it. Setting it up for Malone. His drive tipped on goal to save. Here's Carl. Feeds it in front. They had an open net with Anderson by the goal, but the Senators canceling out sticks out in front. Poked free. Purcell has it. Purcell from the corner fires. Steered away by Anderson. St. Louis with it. Feeding it back out to Hedman. Shooting a save by Anderson. 7 seconds to go. And it's finally chopped down the ice by Turris. And will end up in an icing call with a second and a half to go.
Boy, what? That save. Go back to that save, Rick, when he made on Kucherov. What a huge save Anderson made. Lightning really coming on here in the third period with the final minutes. They're out shooting it. The Senators now 38-28 for the game. They only had 15 shots after the second period, so 23 shots here in the third.
Well, from that face-off, the game ends to the relief of Anderson and the Senators, and the Lightning certainly not happy with the final result here, despite their rally. The shots at one point, when I looked, they were 28 apiece, and as you know, Chief, now 38-28, so they had at least 10 in a row, and probably more than that. However, the Lightning do lose back-to-back games in regulation for the first time since late November, early December. And they'll try to get back on the winning horse Saturday afternoon against Montreal at the Bell Center.